All right. Well, welcome everybody. This is Dave Huber Sr., and I'm filling in for David Verbugen, who's on vacation out of the country. And so he's taking his family on a nice long trip. So you may see me again next week. You may see one of the other coaches next week. But we're just going to get into this and we're going to start looking for different symbols. So let's start off first by looking at what is the market doing today. And we can go over here. We'll go dot SPX. That gives us the S&P 500. And this is what we use as a benchmark. Now you'll notice there's a million lines on my chart because this thing is one that we track all of the time. This is what we use basically to see what is the market doing. Now you'll notice that the most current trends, I'll just change the color on those lines so that you can see them more clearly. Oops, let's go to red. Let's do a dark red. And let's go save. That line there. And this line here seem to be the most relevant two lines. That are in play right now. Hopefully everybody can see that clearly on there. We may have this line, it may be actually using maybe changing the support on here is what I'm trying to say. So I'll change that one as well. And that line may be more current. You'll notice that it's picked up the bottoms along here, it's picked up the bottoms along here, and the bottoms along here. The top resistance line seems to be pretty strong. Well, if you had looked at the market alert today, Pete mentioned that yesterday's announcement from the FOMC was pretty lackluster. It was kind of unusual. They raised the rates, and normally that causes the market to do crazy things. And generally, when they raise the rate, it causes people to start selling. Well, the market yesterday closed about right where it was when it started. So it had little or no effect on the market. And maybe that's just because people are getting used to these rate increases time and time again. We're now at the highest we've been since, oh gosh, long time. 2020, I think, was the last time we were this high before the crash. So it's pretty interesting to keep an eye on and see how things are going. But you'll notice that he also mentioned that because there was not a reaction yesterday and the futures were up today, that you might expect a gap up. Well, if we were to zoom in on the last few days, that's exactly what happened. The market gapped up and it got to resistance. And it's interesting that that resistance line is holding the market right where it is. So we need to keep that in mind as we're doing our trades, because that could easily affect any up trades that you might have. Oh, there you see right here. Today we're having a kind of a indecision day. We're right at resistance. People aren't sure if they want to buy. People aren't sure if they want to sell. And you'll notice a week or so ago when this happened, it hit resistance and we had a doji, and then it started coming back down. But this market has been so hot, it's been bouncing off of the 5-day moving average. And if it misses the 5-day, it seems to hit the 10-day. And if it misses the 10-day, it seems to be hitting the 20-day. Now, those of you who know me, I like lines better than I do the EMAs, but there is no doubt that often stocks will choose to use the EMA instead of a line that we draw. So we want to make sure that we are following what the market's doing, not what we want the market to do. So that being said, I need to go back and check to see if we have any stocks put into our comments. Okay. Well, there's my friend Benjamin. Haven't heard from you in a long time. You have a few that you're looking at. That's a little surprise. Welcome to the thing. Let's start off with the Tesla on there. So let me move back over to the screen. We'll go up here. We'll put in TSLA and we'll hit enter. And as Benjamin knows, the first question I probably would always ask him is what pattern does he see? And you can tell that this one is one that we've done a lot of trading with. Let's get rid of a few of these lines that may not be in play anymore. So it looks like this stock may be trying to roll. Although this bottom to this bottom, is going up. This high to this high is going up. Maybe what we have is the beginning of a nice little uptrend. I'm going to use a line here because I'm not so sure that it's going to continue, but we're going to try it. And then if we click on that, clone the line and move it up. Well, it should move. Here we go. And look at that. That may be the beginning of a nice uptrend. So looking at Benjamin's thing, he's just putting in the ticker symbol. I'm hoping, Benjamin, that you're seeing this as an uptrend too, and at a good point at which to purchase a call or any of the bullish trades. And of course, being on Tesla, it's a little expensive to just be trading the stock on it. That one maybe need to be a little bit higher. But so if we were to be looking at this, that would be a nice move up. And we'll move this down so we can see it a little bit better. And for some reason, my thing just decided to reset. I am way out in the country, guys, so my internet may be a little bit slow here. Duplicate, clone that line. Move it on up. And then let's extend it out a little bit. So it would not be surprising to see this stock. A little more room. Line, and refresh. Anytime you're working with charts, if you put in too much data, it sometimes freezes up on you and you just have to refresh it and go back to the screen where you were. We'll clone this line. There we go. And now we can extend that to see about where that stock may go to. So let's save that. So right now we're sitting right at about 266.50, and it would not be unusual to see that stock move up at least to the 288. So you've got a nice $22 move on this for choosing your plans. And actually that changed its line a little bit. Should be right about there. So getting up to there would actually be about 300, 301, 302, somewhere in that area would be our trade line. And we would be looking at a nice move up there. I would keep in mind that horizontal just at the 288 that we were talking about, because that could act as a resistance line on there. Next up, he was looking. Oh, we got a bunch of them coming in now. So next up, he was looking at, where's Benjamin? Move back up. He was also looking at SHOP, SHOP. So let's put that up in there and see what we've got. Now, the question is, which tool do you want to use when you see a good trade? And that's going to be based a lot on what you are comfortable with and what you believe the stock's going to be doing. So on here, we have SHOP. And let's put in a horizontal ray on that. That didn't quite come out the way I wanted it to. Here we go. Come on. Choose this other line. Thank you. And we'll just make this to be horizontal to that by adjusting these, putting it right on top till we get one line. And then we move it up. And could that be your resistance line? This one, Benjamin, I don't think is as pretty, simply because you've already gone pretty far into that trade. You're at about 66 right now, and you've got about a $5 move. Might work for a credit spread, but I would prefer to see this thing come down and have hit that bottom a little more solidly. It tended to miss yesterday on there, and there's not an EMA that caused it to turn. This may just be a simple pullback, let it come down, hit the support line, and then bounce up. Say next. The next one up, we've got ADP. And we'll move over to the charts, put in ADP, and see what we've got. ADP. Automatic data processing. Ooh, okay. So, Benjamin, I have to ask you, what pattern do you see here? And it would be a little tricky to tell. To me, the only pattern I'm seeing in this one is a possible flag. I don't like that it opened up higher than yesterday's close, but if we see a gentle pullback to the 5 or the 10-day, then you might have a trade that you could put on to where it would move back up to the 253, 254, 255 area. About 255 was the most recent high on that. So that could be another bullish trade. We're going to see a lot of bullish trade setups today, I believe. Moving right along, that puts those through there. Olivia Shoes says, hi. Well, hi, Olivia. Thank you for being here. And Benjamin said hello and welcome to Olivia as well. Tradeway TV, welcome, Olivia. Good. So we've got Stephanie in the background that may be commenting on some of your things. Olivia's looking to take a look at Hood and GMB, Ford, and GE. So let's take a look first at the Hood. Now, when you've got 4 different stocks, one of the things I would ask is which one is in the prettiest pattern that you can see, Olivia, because the pattern you see is the pattern that you're going to be able to trade. This stock, again, has been extremely hot, bouncing mostly off the 5-day. It's come down, hit the 10-day, and bounced up, and it seems to be stalling out a little bit today. So I don't see a trade that really excites me on this one because it just doesn't give me a whole lot of definition of where this stock is likely to go. Now, if I were to try this, I would probably play it up to at least the recent high of 13.15, which gives you about a 50-cent move. may not be too bad, especially if it goes ahead and bounces off of that 5-day moving average. Next up, we've got GMB or GME. Wait a minute. Which one is she looking for? I think okay, said GMB, but I thought I saw a little bit later that she changed it. GME. Okay. Let's go with GME. All right. I hope you guys are excited about the opportunities you have to trade right now. Just keep in mind that they may have some resistance on the market for up trades. Oops, that didn't work out right. Typed in the wrong one. Page unresponsive. Wait. And welcome to East Texas, folks. We are experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties. Let's try refreshing, although that's basically what we just did. Reload. For some reason, this is just not loading for me. There we go. G N E. GME. GameStop. That's the one I thought we were looking at. Okay. So the first question is always, what pattern do you see? Well, I'm seeing a nice support line here, running from here right on over to there, and then a downtrending line as well. Okay. Now, whenever you have a pattern like this, you have to ask yourself if this support line is accurate, which it really looks pretty good. It's got 4 nice solid hits across the bottom. And the resistance line shows that it's been falling and falling and falling. Then when it gets to this point, it's going to have to break out. It can either break out up or break out down. If it decides it wants to break out down, we might have the beginning of a new downtrending stock. As of yet, it's not beautiful, but it's not bad either. So in that case, it could be setting up for a potential move, put play on there. But we still want to see how is it going to break out. We wouldn't mind seeing the lines too. There we go. They're back. So if this comes up and breaks through that uptrending support line, then you may have a trade where you could actually be trading this as a put play on there. Right now, I don't see it as a up trade unless you see it break through that resistance line. So if we see this stock break up like this, then we have a chance for a breakout type play. If we see this stock break down through the resistance, like this, then you have the chance for a put play. And it's not cooperating. Arrow. Okay, well, you're going to have to take my word for it because the arrow doesn't seem to want to draw on there. But if it breaks through this uptrending support line, then you have a chance for a put play. If it breaks through the short-term resistance line, then you have the chance for a up trade, but it might be hard to tell exactly how high it could go. 40.90 or possibly as high as $27 on there. Moving right along, we've got next up, she's looking for Ford. Ford is always one of my favorite stocks to use as an example because it always has incredibly good option chains. But let's see what the pattern looks like on Ford. So we have could we be having the beginning of a head and shoulders? Very possibly, but we'd need to see where that breaks out through. A lot of people were thinking that this here could have been a very negligible M, and because it was on higher volume, it broke through that center line right on higher volume. So, yeah, that could be an M. The problem was when it broke through, it gapped down and you missed most of that trade. Now we just have to see what pattern it's going to turn into on there. Keep an eye on this because one of the things you'll always notice about Ford is their options. Their liquidity is always incredible, and it doesn't matter which strike price you choose. You'll notice that the bid-ask spreads on this are always pretty fantastic. If it will go ahead and load for us. There we go. So take a look at these bid-ask spreads when they load. We go at the money, we're looking at 1 penny. We're looking at 1 penny. We're looking at 1 penny. We're now 3 strikes out and we're looking at still 1 penny. 4 strikes out, still 1 penny. In the money, 1 penny, 2 pennies, 4 pennies. The options on this are always fantastic, both on the put and on the call side. They're both fantastic on there. So in the money, 2 strikes in the money, you still have just 1 penny spread. This is a stock on which you could easily use a stop loss on an option, which is not true with most of your stocks on there. And then the last one that Olivia had asked about was GE. And I think GE is already on the list. There we go. I was looking at that with a student earlier today. And let's go back over to the chart. There we go. And you have to ask yourself, what pattern do you see? Now, this is kind of an interesting one because if we zoom in to like 3 months, it's been in a beautiful uptrending pattern, but on earnings 2 days ago, it jumped up and broke out of resistance, and now it's struggling to see if it can come back into that same pattern. And basically, this stock, we need to wait to see what it's going to do, but it's either going to come back into your pattern here and act like it had been, and so and all it's doing is moving my line on me instead of giving me an arrow. Let's get that line back up there. It'll either come back down and just start staying in that pattern, or it may use this old resistance line as a new support line and show us either maybe a higher uptrending. If it gets really hot, then it will take off along the 5 or 10-day moving average. So right now, again, it's a wait and see. We just have to see how people are going to react to the great earnings. And you'll notice the earnings were really pretty fantastic on this. They were estimated to do 46 cents and they ended up doing 68. That's a 50% above what was expected to happen. Thank you, Olivia. Those were great stocks to look at. Joseph, have to hug your computer face, red heart. Okay, fantastic. Ruben, looking at it. Things are jumping around on me. Okay, Ruben's looking, it looks like DNA. So let's go over here, look at DNA, and see what the attributes are. Ginkgo Bioworks Holding. Okay. Haven't played with this one before, so I'm going to start off with a 6-month screen. When I look for patterns, I always start off with a 6-month screen. It looks like it had been coming down, went sideways, started going up, but then it broke back down, and now it's going back up. This is pretty short term to determine an actual trend here, I believe, but it could be something along that. Now, I like that line simply because it's going right along the 10 and 5-day moving average on there. And if we were to clone that line, would that work as a resistance? Not very prettily. Maybe closer to that. Maybe even down a little bit more, right about there. Let's bring this down a little bit, extend those lines, and see what it looks like. Okay, you have a pretty narrow move here. Yesterday was, it came down, hit resist support, bounced up, could have gotten in, you would have gone up, you'd have been disappointed today. But if it continues on this pattern, it is likely to get up to about 266, and you could have been in at about 230. So it's about a 30-cent move or 35-cent move. Does not sound like a whole lot, but if you think about 35 cents on $2.31, that's a pretty impressive percentage there. That's about a 15-16% move up in a stock that would not cost you much to get into. So that's one that very likely will be one worth following on there. Good job on that, Ruben. ADP just had earnings, okay? And we were just looking at ADP. Let's go back and look at it again. ADP. Whoa. Okay, yeah. That just had earnings. That's why it busted. That's exactly why it busted out. You'll notice that they were expecting to do $1.83. They did $1.89. They beat their expectations by 6 cents, which is significant. But you'll notice that this square is outlined in green, where the other ones that we were looking at had a solid green. The one that had the really great earnings report had a solid green one. And the solid green E means they beat it by a lot. The highlighted, the outlined in green means they beat it by just a little bit. And you'll notice that this one tends to beat its earnings by a little bit each time, but does not have a. So, in other words, they're very good at predicting what their profits and their sales are going to be. And they seem to be very consistent in their earnings expectations. So, that's fantastic company as far as helping them. Just a little hard to trade unless you're trading it as a flag for me at this time, because we've got to find out where could this stock move to. Could go here, which is likely. That's got a pretty solid move. Could be here or even up to here. But it's a little hard to predict where this is going because you can't draw lines on it. But it still works for those who want to trade it. So, earnings, yes. Joseph, WMT, highs for the year, looking for a possible pullback to 153. Okay. And if the S&P is at resistance, a pullback might not be a bad trade to look at. So let's take a look at Walmart. WMT. Okay. Keeping in mind that you've got basically 2 weeks until earnings comes out, and they're expected to do fairly well. I'm just trying to see a pattern. Kind of a W pattern there that broke out, but not on higher volume. Maybe on higher volume. Let me move back into 6 months where I can see it a little more clearly. You've got what looks like a W pattern, breaks out on this day right there. It's a little bit slightly higher volume, not great. So, but you're looking for a pullback to 153. Okay. Not sure I see a reason for it to pull back all that far. It's broken out of its recent highs and is floating up off of the things. Now, if it were to break back down below that new resistance line I just put in there, then I might be with you for a put play. But right now, there's nothing above it stopping it. It's just going off of raw momentum. So let's give it a chance to see what it wants to do. Intel. Joseph's looking at Intel Corporation. And we'll go Intel. INTC. And I would have to ask, what pattern are you seeing? Because I'm not seeing a very clear pattern here. Maybe if I back out to a year, it'll be clearer. On the long term, it's obviously a slight uptrend, but it is hovering around, breaking through the resistance line. So, not excited about a play on this until it gives me more direction. That it's just the only thing that I see pattern wise is the long term uptrend. Now it is struggling to go down below the 10-day moving average. And if it does, then it might pull back down to the 20-day, because that's what it did last time it came through on there. So interesting one to watch. I like it because of its long-term pattern, and I like the fact that if it can get back into it or produce a pattern where the old resistance is support, then I'm more likely to be trading it from my personal trading style. Joseph is thinking a bearish wedge. Okay, let me go back and look at it again. Okay, and I'm guessing that you're thinking that is from here. Whoops, reset zoom. By the way, reset zoom is my favorite button on the entire charts by Tradeway system, because my old charting thing, you clicked and drug to get to drop a line. You're probably thinking something along this, but you don't have a pattern here. Okay, and I hate drawing lines to today's candlestick. If we were to draw it to the last high, it would be down here, and it would have already broken out of that. That line there looks clearer than the one if we try to put it on top of today. Because if tomorrow, if we draw the line here and say, okay, it's going to pull back, and then tomorrow we get a little candlestick that pulls it up, then we'd have to take our line and move it up and say, oh, now it has to pull back. And then the next day we'd say, oh, now it has to pull back. And we could keep going to where there is no bearish trend at all. So that's why it takes at least 3 points to get there. On the uptrending side, I don't dislike that line. I just don't see the top acting the same way, because it looks like the highs are getting lower, the others getting higher, but we don't have a pretty pattern to choose from, in my opinion, on there. I do like Intel because it's been a very reliable company to trade over the years, and you can see it too has been in a nice long uptrending pattern on there. Oops. Wrong thing. Okay. Well, we're having a few technical difficulties again. Apologize for that. Let's see. Don Hunter says hi. Okay. Bearish wedge. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. All right. Bearish wedge. Don Hunter says hi. That looks like all that we have on the list right now. We went a little bit long today, partly because of the technical difficulties we're having, but we've got some good looks at some good stocks, and we'll do some more at the 2 o'clock hour. So God bless you guys. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye now.